The vast ocean covers most of our planet, yet we spend our lives on land, unaware of the countless untold mysteries hidden deep beneath the waves. Only a few brave souls dare to explore the ocean's dark depths, and they're the ones who've seen the unbelievable truth of this underwater world. Here are 20 mysterious discoveries that nearly stopped divers' hearts. Number 20. Diving under a freightliner. Diving in busy waters can be quite dangerous. In this footage, we can see a diver swimming at the bottom of the Sinclair River in Northern America. We can also see a black, monstrous ship moving towards him. The scene is scary enough to paralyze any diver because it might just be a large, dangerous fish or a bloodthirsty shark. Well, this was a huge ship whose big motor started to move towards the diver. The sight of a tremendous propeller approaching must have caused an adrenaline overdrive. The wise diver maintained his calm and safely stayed low, letting the monstrous ship pass by. Surely, panic could have cost his life, or at least the loss of a limb. Number 19. Venus flytrap anemone. The Venus flytrap anemone is the underwater cousin of the regular Venus flytrap. Similar to the land-based counterpart, the Venus flytrap anemone is a carnivorous aquatic plant that quietly waits for its food to come its way. Once something gets into its tentacles, the plant stings the food with a harpoon-like structure called nematocysts, which allows it to hold its food in place. After that, the plant folds itself almost like a mouth closing down on food. Venus flytrap anemones are known to be detritivores, which is another way of saying that they eat small particles of organic matter found in water. But on rare occasions, these plants have been seen digesting unsuspecting fish that get too close to the tentacles. Flesh-eating plant was the one thing that the deep sea seemed to be missing, until the Venus flytrap anemone seemed to fill that role. Number 18. Sunken prison. Any history nerd will be excited to visit an old sunken prison, provided he possesses excellent diving skills. In 1991, while the USSR was in the process of decay, an old Soviet Union prison built on the edge of a limestone quarry in the Estonian capital city of Tallinn was abandoned, which was soon converted into a new lake. The submerged prison, with several parts worth exploring underwater, can be seen from the bank. It has become a popular tourist destination. A large number of locals roam around the area and dive into the lake to explore the rich history below the water surface. The area is nicknamed Blue Lagoon. One can see old vintage mining implements, machinery, brick walls, barbed wire, and prison cells. It can be accessed by rail, bus, taxi, or car. Number 17. Ancient silver. If there's one thing that motivates a lot of divers to venture into the depths of the ocean, it's long-lost treasures or artifacts. While coming across something like this is incredibly rare and often dangerous, the few lucky ones who make such a discovery will forever have their life changed. If there's a textbook example of an underwater treasure, it's probably the treasure found inside the SS Gersapa during World War II. The SS Gersapa was used as a British cargo ship but was sunk by a torpedo fired from a German U-boat. In this incident, only one of the 85 crew members survived, while the rest of the ship sank an astonishing 15,000 feet and stayed there for the past 70 years. The ship was known to contain 48 tons of pure silver at the time of its sinking, so the British government contracted a US-based deep-sea exploration company known as the Odyssey Marine Exploration to recover this long-lost loot. The expedition was a success, and the team was able to recover all of the 48 tons of silver. The best part? The exploration team got to keep 80% of the treasure, which fattened their wallets by an incredible $30 million. What a payday! Number 16. Underwater missile silo. In all movies and video games, abandoned nuclear bunkers look more or less the same, and they all seem frightening. Terrible black and yellow signs on the walls, huge doors, and a deadly silence. Now imagine all this but in real life, and at a depth of 33.5 meters underwater. If you're a fan of extreme diving, you can visit this place in Washington. It's the partially flooded Titan missile silo. It was designed to launch nuclear missiles, but now there are no missiles left. The facility is built to withstand a huge explosion. Maybe swimming here is more frightening than playing stalker alone at home in the dark. Would you dive here? Now it's time for today's topic. On the morning of July 26, 2025, a team of marine researchers from the Atlantic Deep Sea Institute was en route by helicopter to conduct a deep-sea dive in the North Atlantic Ocean, roughly 160 nautical miles off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. As part of their safety sweep, the crew performed an aerial scan of the drop zone. At exactly 7:42 a.m., co-pilot Anika Bell snapped a photo through the cockpit window, revealing an enormous, whale-like creature just beneath the surface. But it wasn't a whale. The creature's outline stretched nearly 300 feet long, overshadowing a nearby cargo vessel that immediately altered its course after the crew reported sonar interference. Most disturbing was the creature's anatomy, for enormous flippers, 2 on each side, suggesting a design unlike any marine animal ever documented. It moved slowly, almost deliberately, like a creature that belonged to deeper, darker waters. The dive was cancelled. All footage and sonar readings were sent to NOAA and the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution for analysis. Experts remain baffled, with some speculating it could be a surviving prehistoric leviathan or a species entirely undocumented. Whatever it was, it has never surfaced again, and that's what worries them most. Number 15. Nepalis. Tsunamis have destroyed many ancient civilizations, and one such example is Nepalis, which is in modern-day Turkey. Archaeologists discovered a series of underwater ruins back in 2010, and it turns out it was an ancient Roman city completely wiped out by a tsunami around 1,700 years ago. The ruins stretched out an impressive half a mile in length and served as one of the most important discoveries of this region. Even though the city was swallowed by the sea around 365 AD, a lot of the artifacts discovered in the area were in excellent condition. Nepalis is believed to have been founded in the 5th century BC and has changed ownership between various factions over the centuries. This is probably just one of the many ancient cities that was swallowed by the ocean, including the fabled city of Atlantis. Number 14. Jacob's Well. Jacob's Well is a spring extending over a mile beneath the surface into a complicated cave system. At least 9 people have succumbed to death while diving here, hence, it's considered one of the most horrific diving places. There are 4 deep caves with openings so narrow that divers are required to remove their gas tanks to pass through. The story narrated by one of the divers who recovered one of the bodies has made it even scarier. You cannot judge the direction and can't even see your gauges as you're scraping the bottom and striking gas tanks on the top. It's not possible to fall back unless trained well. Despite these scary stories, several people ignore the rules and directly dive into the current. Jacob's Spring is a nice visiting spot, but one needs to be careful. Number 13. Scary Ship. Fancy yourself a sunken treasure hunter? Well, a deep-sea explorer has found a ship full of gold and silver coins at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. But it doesn't end there. The fact is that, in addition to the jewels, the bodies of more than 800 sailors are inside the ship Mars. So the treasure is literally protected by skeleton. By the way, the wooden ship sank as a result of the explosion of the cannons on the deck in 1564, but it's still in really good shape. Surprising, right? According to legend, a ghost rose from among the depths of the sea to protect the ship from being detected. But a few years ago, scientists found it. Just imagine all the treasure that was locked away for close to 500 years. Number 12. See you later, alligator. Encountering an alligator just after diving would be nightmarish for a diver. The alligators in this footage don't seem real, however, people pay to swim with these terrifying creatures. Divers are required to take all necessary safety measures and adhere to the rules. They can't dive without an alligator expert. Diving is permitted only in winters or when the water is cold, as the alligator's appetite is reduced. A diver has to move out of the danger zone immediately because alligators can attack you underwater, as they generally tend to remain close to the bottom. Alligators attack the silhouette formed against the light, so divers need to stay as far away from the alligator's head as they can. They usually don't attack objects bigger than their size. Divers should try to get close to alligators who are calm. The safety protocols require divers to have appropriate knowledge about alligators. Despite all the precautionary measures, we recommend you guys visit alligators in a zoo instead of going swimming with them. Number 11. Ocean Vortex. Anyone fond of diving ought to be a skilled swimmer because one can easily get caught in an ocean vortex. This group of divers was caught in a vortex current running parallel to the surface of the water. Very scant information is available about this natural phenomenon, as its occurrence has been reported at just a few diving sites around the world. The most practical advice to survive is to be calm and swim up perpendicularly. Well, it's an uphill task. Those who encounter the vortex were mostly professional divers who managed to come out safely. Whirlpools in oceans may last, on average, up to 198 days. It means if you don't come out at the earliest, you may face immense trouble. But don't be too afraid, as the chances of swimming into these whirlpools are pretty thin. Number 10. SS Montgomery. Shipwrecks are often found in the depths of the sea, but sometimes they can even be seen on the coasts of countries or in shallow waters. The SS Montgomery is one shipwreck that's been visible to the residents of the small town of Sheerness, UK, ever since its wreck during World War II. A sign attached to the rusting mast might add character to the area, but it also serves as a reminder of what's hiding under the water. Over the years, local authorities and naval experts have monitored the site closely, using sonar and remote-operated vehicles to assess the condition of the decaying hull. Corrosion continues to eat away at the ship's structure, increasing the risk of an unintentional detonation. In fact, the UK Ministry of Defence has long maintained a restricted zone around the wreck, with warning buoys and patrols preventing curious boats from getting too close. Despite the passage of time, the explosives remain dangerously unstable due to their age and exposure to seawater. Some experts even suggest that a powerful enough storm, underwater landslide, or accidental anchor drop could set off a chain reaction. Local residents have grown up with stories about the ship, often calling it the ticking time bomb of the Thames. It's even been the subject of documentaries, disaster simulations, and parliamentary debates over the years. At the time of its sinking, the SS Montgomery was carrying 1,400 tons of high-powered explosives, and they're still around the site of the shipwreck. If it accidentally goes off, it can trigger a 30 to 40-foot tsunami wave, which can come crashing through the Thames River into London. Since the wreckage contains so many explosives, it's made any effort of recovering the wreckage impossible. The SS Montgomery will continue to be a permanent part of the scenery of this English town for a very long time. Number 9. The Neptune Memorial Reef. This place gives the phrase burial at sea a whole new meaning. The Neptune Memorial Reef was created for those who wish to spend their eternity under the sea. Created back in 2007 by a Florida artist by the name of Kim Brandel, the Neptune Memorial was built in sponsorship with the Neptune Society, which is one of the largest providers of cremation services in the United States. It's located 3 miles from the coast of Biscayne in Miami at a depth of 40 feet from the surface of the sea. Designed to mimic the lost city of Atlantis, the reef features majestic gates, lion statues, and intricate stone pathways that now serve as artificial coral habitats. Over time, these monuments become encrusted with marine life, turning solemn memorials into vibrant underwater sanctuaries. Marine biologists have observed the reef becoming a thriving ecosystem, attracting over 60 species of fish, crustaceans, and corals. Schools of tropical fish now dart between the columns, and sea turtles are frequent visitors, adding an unexpectedly serene beauty to what is technically a graveyard. If the idea of being cremated and buried in the realm of Neptune sounds inviting to you, then this place might be what you're looking for. They do this by turning the cremated remains into concrete memorials, which are placed at this site for eternity. Divers or the family of the deceased can come and visit their loved ones for however long they please. If you wish to have your remains buried at the Neptune Memorial Reef, it can set you back around $2,600 for the standard placement of the cremated remains and upwards of $4,000 for both cremation and the placement of remains. It's a hefty price for an admission into this water grave. Number 8. Ghosts of War. One of the scariest military underwater cemeteries is located at the bottom of Chuuk Lagoon in Micronesia. More than 50 ships are buried here, along with the remains of different planes. All of them ended up in this place as a result of a terrible battle during World War II. The lagoon was used by the Japanese troops as a naval base, and on February 17, 1944, the United States dealt it a devastating blow. The operation, known as Operation Hailstone, was carefully orchestrated by American intelligence, which had gathered months of surveillance data on Japanese ship movements in the region. As dawn broke on that fateful day, hundreds of U.S. aircraft roared into the skies above Chuuk, launching wave after wave of coordinated attacks. Some eyewitness accounts from surviving Japanese sailors describe the sky turning black with smoke and fire raining down from every direction. Entire vessels erupted into flames before vanishing beneath the waves. Divers who've explored the wrecks report seeing tanks still loaded on transport ships, motorcycles tied down on decks, and personal belongings scattered in cabins, frozen in time. In one sunken cargo ship, dozens of gas masks were found lying near the skeletal remains of their former owners, eerily intact after decades underwater. Coral and marine life have since claimed these iron husks, with sea anemones blooming where sailors once walked. Despite the natural beauty, the eerie silence inside these vessels is said to be deeply unsettling. Air and submarine attacks continued for 2 days, killing more than 1,000 people, destroying 13 warships and 32 merchant ships, and shooting down 270 planes. Most of the equipment is perfectly preserved, but we would not risk going inside since the bodies of some soldiers have never been recovered. This is probably one watery gray grave that will remain undisturbed for years to come. Number 7. Stranded in the ocean. You must have seen many movies showing people stranded right in the center of the ocean. People who watch these movies must fear falling victim to a similar fate. Jacob Childs faced such a situation when he disappeared from a group of diving expeditions off the southeast coast of Queensland, Australia. An elaborate air and sea search had to be carried out in order to find him. What began as a routine dive quickly turned into a nightmare when a sudden current swept Jacob away from his group. The ocean, vast and indifferent, gave no clues as to where he had gone. As he surfaced, he realized he had drifted far beyond the boat's visibility range. The horizon stretched endlessly in all directions, and panic started to set in. He inflated his buoyancy vest and tried waving, but no one was around to see him. To conserve energy, Jacob switched between floating and treading water, all while keeping a constant lookout for passing vessels. The loneliness was overwhelming, interrupted only by the occasional shadow beneath him, making him fear sharks might be circling below. As the hours passed and dehydration kicked in, he began talking to himself to stay mentally alert. 30-year-old Jacob thought it would be his last moment when the sun started rising. In the footage, he can be seen giving up hope. He disappeared when he couldn't find a rope to hold on to and drifted away. Fortunately, he was rescued by a plane flying about 8 miles away from their diving site. He remained stranded for 6 hours but was lucky enough not to encounter any predators. Number 6. Creepy Cave Sign. Ginny Springs in Florida is famous for its mesmerizing and spacious cave systems. Several of these are underwater. Accident statistics indicate 3 reasons for the perishing of divers in underwater caverns: misuse of guidelines, lack of reserve gas, and diving beyond the laid-down limits of breathing equipment. 9 out of 10 divers perishing meet this fate because of lacking formal training in cavern or cave diving. Many of the caves in the system stretch for miles beneath the earth, with complex passages, narrow squeezes, and unmarked offshoots that can confuse even seasoned divers. Water visibility can change within seconds, clear blue one moment and a cloudy haze the next, due to silt being kicked up from the cave floor. The danger isn't just running out of air, it's not knowing which way is up, or how to retrace your path back to the entrance. Divers speak of the eerie silence and oppressive darkness when their lights flicker, heightening the psychological toll of being lost underground. Some caves have areas where the ceilings drop to mere inches above the floor, forcing divers to wriggle through with only inches of clearance. Others contain massive chambers so wide and deep they feel like underwater cathedrals, beautiful but unforgiving. In 1990, 2 college students ignored the warning signs and ventured deep into the cave without proper gear. Their bodies were found days later, tangled in their own guideline, with their tanks completely dry. Locals say their story still haunts the spring, a cautionary tale whispered around dive shops. Devil's Eye is a cave with a circular opening 20 feet across, and a diver, on reaching a 50-foot depth, finds a frightening sign reading, "Stop! Prevent your death. There is nothing in this cave worth dying for." Even a grim reaper is painted on the sign. The thought of being lost in underwater caves is nightmarish. Number 5. Christmas Tree Under Frozen Lake. Extreme cold climate prevails in most of the Russian regions. A 3-person group of Russian ice swimming enthusiasts dived to place an artificial Christmas tree at the bottom of Lake Baikal. They just wore trunks, socks, and Santa hats. They danced in extremely cold water under the Christmas tree, as the temperature there was just above 0 degrees Celsius, while the air temperature above the surface was minus 23 degrees Celsius. Before the dive, the trio had to cut through nearly a foot of thick ice to access the frigid waters below. The entire operation was coordinated with safety teams stationed above the ice, watching closely in case of emergency. As they descended into the lake's abyss, visibility quickly diminished, and their movements became slower and more labored. One of the divers later recounted that his hands went numb almost instantly, making it hard to secure the tree upright on the lakebed. They carried with them waterproof lights to create a surreal glowing scene beneath the ice, illuminating the tree in an eerie green hue. Tiny bubbles from their breath shimmered like ornaments as they floated toward the surface, adding a magical quality to the underwater celebration. Their daring dive was captured on waterproof cameras and later posted online, gaining widespread attention across social media platforms. Locals hailed the stunt as both bizarre and heartwarming, calling it a uniquely Russian way to celebrate the holiday spirit. The event was not just a stunt but also aimed at drawing attention to the environmental preservation of Lake Baikal, which is the deepest and one of the oldest freshwater lakes on Earth. The divers carried a banner reading, "Protect Baikal," and used the moment to raise awareness about pollution and illegal dumping. Inspired by their dive, a nearby school organized a cleanup campaign around the lake's shoreline that following weekend. Despite being professional divers for several years, they faced unprecedented difficulties as they swam under the ice. Subsequently, the plastic green Christmas tree was brought back to the surface to avoid pollution in the lake. They also brought back some car tires from the bottom of the lake. Number 4. Buried at Sea. People have been discussing the fictitious underwater city of Atlantis for ages now. Some don't believe that it's real, while others are always hoping to learn more about it. Kim Brandel designed what is now known as the Atlantis Reef Project, which is the biggest provider of cremation services in the U.S. It's used as a graveyard for human remains underwater. Families get to choose from many different designs for burying the cremated remains of their loved ones, and little mementos like fishing lures or crucifixes on the concrete. The structures themselves are not just functional but highly artistic, inspired by ancient mythology and lost civilization themes. Divers who visit the site often describe the experience as hauntingly beautiful, walking among memorial pillars, lion statues, and domed gates eerily reminiscent of imagined ruins. The sensation is more like visiting a forgotten kingdom than a man-made reef. Some structures are engraved with personalized epitaphs, while others are shaped like urns, columns, or mythical sea creatures. The entire reef has been designed to mimic what Atlantis might have looked like if it were real, with long corridors, faux temples, and thrones slowly being reclaimed by the sea. Marine biologists who monitor the reef have observed octopuses taking shelter inside sculpture openings and schools of fish swirling around the outstretched arms of angel statues. There's even a sense of storytelling built into the layout, as if walking through the reef unveils a hidden narrative about life, loss, and legacy beneath the waves. Environmental groups have praised the project for blending tribute with marine restoration, calling it a model for sustainable underwater memorials. A particular memorial can be placed by divers about 40 feet underwater. These memorials and mammoth structures have immense weight, over 50 tons. Smaller sculptures also weigh about 10 pounds. The reef design also helped the fish and coral reefs to grow. It's attracted more than 56 fish species since 2007. In addition, the ecosystem has also progressed at a rapid pace. It's a popular spot and is situated off the coast of Miami, Florida. Number 3. Megalodon Returns. In the past, not far away, a blockbuster movie, The Meg, showed what would happen if the megalodon was discovered in present times. Megalodons were the largest sharks that ever existed, and they are now extinct. Scientific research has shown that megalodons varied in length from 50 to 59 feet. They've apparently vanished from the Earth about 3.6 million years ago, and certain people speculate the shark swimming in this video might be one of them. The video was captured off the coast of South Africa, where sightings of unusually large sharks have been reported for decades. What made this sighting different, however, was the sheer mass of the creature and the unnatural way it moved through the water. Witnesses claim the animal's dorsal fin alone was taller than a man, and its body left a wake large enough to rock nearby boats. Experienced divers who reviewed the footage noted that the head shape and tail movement didn't quite match known species. Marine biologists scrambled to compare the size ratios in the video with known metrics, but nothing provided a perfect match. Local fishermen claim they've lost massive catches after their lines were snapped by something incredibly strong beneath the surface. Rumors have also swirled about sonar readings showing massive unidentified shapes in deeper offshore canyons, areas where megalodons could theoretically hide. The mystery deepens further with government agencies reportedly requesting copies of the video shortly after it went viral. Bewildered people rushed to take a glance at the huge animal. Some people identified it as a basking shark. These are gigantic but not aggressive or harmful. They can reach a size of up to 26 feet long and are regarded as the second largest shark existing at present, after the whale shark. Assertions that megalodons don't exist may not be wholly true, as the coelacanth, which was considered to be extinct, was caught some time ago. Number 2. U.S. fighter planes lost during World War II. Throughout time, history has also benefited from underwater discoveries. 76 years after Operation Hailstone, an assault of the Allied forces on a Japanese naval base during World War II, a team of researchers discovered former American fighter planes buried deep underwater. It's not every day that you stumble across a warplane. The Project Recover team discovered 2 dive bombers and 1 Avenger at the Truk Lagoon in the Chuuk state of Micronesia. The lagoon itself has been described as an underwater graveyard, holding the wreckage of a brutal 1944 attack that left thousands of men and machines scattered across the seafloor. Some of the wrecks are still largely intact, with cockpit instruments, control levers, and even faded insignias hauntingly preserved by the saltwater. Divers who participated in the mission reported eerie moments, like seeing a flight helmet resting beside a corroded machine gun, or coming across sealed ammo boxes nestled in the silt. One of the Avenger planes was found with its bomb bay doors still partially open, suggesting it may have been on a run when it was struck. Marine life has taken over these steel relics, with coral colonies and schools of fish now weaving through the twisted remains. It's a stunning yet somber fusion of war and nature. The researchers also used autonomous underwater vehicles equipped with sonar imaging to sweep vast areas of the lagoon. To locate them amid the coral and debris, the team used the story of an airplane gunner who remembered seeing a dive bomber fall while attacking a Japanese transport ship. It seems that it's usually difficult to spot aircraft underwater, as the expedition leader explains. When these aircraft crash into the water, they don't look like aircraft anymore. Most of them are piles of metal that don't rise very far off the bottom of the ocean. Well, I guess this time they were very lucky. Number 1. Alien in Russia. Imagine you finally decide to practice diving. You're a little nervous at first, and it's difficult to navigate in the muddy water, and suddenly, you're staring head-on with a huge xenomorph. Most likely, you'll be swimming out at a frenzied speed while hoping to survive this ordeal. Some divers have even reported that their oxygen levels spiked during the initial sighting, convinced they'd stumbled onto something unearthly. From a distance, the creature's jagged silhouette and reflective eyes appear hauntingly real, especially when sunlight filters through the murky depths. The eerie illusion is so convincing that local dive schools now warn students ahead of time, or risk panic descents to the surface. In fact, the alien's sudden popularity caused a surge in underwater tourism, with thrill-seekers traveling from across Europe just for a selfie beside it. Some have even begun leaving small trinkets or offerings at its base, adding a mysterious shrine-like quality to the site. A few believe it might even become the underwater version of a roadside attraction, complete with ghost stories and urban legends. However, divers in the Russian city of Anapa decided that a 3-meter copy of an alien at the bottom of the Black Sea is a great way to entertain tourists. The divers created it themselves using thousands of details and installed it with a crane. According to them, the sculpture of the alien monster will help tourists remember the visit for life, and we think that it's definitely going to be the case. And that's a wrap. The deep sea is both fascinating and terrifying. Which one was your favorite from the list? Let us know in the comments and tell us why. Before you go, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content.